Again, we almost never talk about them. Amazon, however, they put out some results that were A, difficult to parse out what the heck's going on, and B, if you start to parse it out, don't look that great. What do you think? Welcome to the Remarkable Retail Podcast, Season 3, Episode 14. I'm Michael LeBlanc.
And I'm Steve Dennis. Big disappointment on the overall earnings front. They missed on sales, they missed on profits, and they guided lower for the balance of the year. Amazon manages to get away with the widest range of earnings. I think they said our profits in the final quarter will be between $0 and $3 billion or something like that, which is okay.
Somewhere in there. Yeah.
It's nice to be that big where plus or minus a couple billion is enough to satisfy Wall Street. But it was quite interesting when you look at some of the numbers. And I just want to say, Andy Jassy, I'm sure you're listening. Let's try to provide a little bit more detail because it is really hard to parse out the numbers because there's this big Amazon warehouse or web services number, then a bunch of other segment stuff, which blends things together. But the headline was that sales slowed down a lot. And if you look, I'm going to have to use my cheat sheet here. But if you look at some of the overall sales, web services was great. But online, first party online from Amazon was up only 3%, which is well below the overall growth rate for e-commerce. Their third party part was up, I guess, a little bit better than the industry, up about 18%. Interestingly, physical retail, which is mostly Whole Foods, but the grocery store, 4-star, starting to become a bigger piece. That was up 13%, the first time in a while. But, my conclusion, if you look at all the profitability in web services and you look at the lack of profitability in all other, in all other is advertising, which is phenomenally profitable. Prime, which presumably is really profitable. Third-party services, Amazon takes a fee for that. So that would seem to be possible. So I think all roads lead to their own retail being very unprofitable, which, the long-term narrative had been that Amazon doesn't make any money in retail, and that's really not so true. But I think we're seeing a lot of recent suggestions that not everything is great in the retail part of their business. But two quick things on that. They did talk a lot about how their costs are going through the roof. I think everybody's getting hit with all the shipping and fulfillment stuff, though Amazon seems to be worse on that front. Labor costs, those sorts of things. So it's a little unclear whether there's kind of this long-term trend of this profit squeeze on fulfillment against retail, or whether this is, infrastructure building, and whether this is things they need to do for the next few quarters to deal with the supply pain and labor shortages and COVID overhang. But last fun fact, Amazon Web Services became the largest percent category for Amazon overall for the first time. So in addition to its tremendous profitability, it is now also the biggest revenue contributor. So just a lot going on in Amazon as always, but anytime earnings come out, it gives us a chance to try to figure out what the heck is going on. But if they would break out more stuff, it would be a lot easier to dissect what's real, what's long-term, and what's just kind of a short-term investment or a short-term COVID supply chain related issue.
Yeah, you could really make a career as, our friend Brad Stone has done, writing about Amazon, because it's so interesting to pick apart. Jason Goldberg, for example, does a great job when he looks at the results, and we've had them both on the show. What jumped out at me, what was interesting is a couple things, as you say. Jeff Bezos said early on in COVID, I'm going to inoculate the supply chain, and I'm going to dedicate billions of dollars to doing that. I mean, he would be the same. He'd be in the same place. They move a lot of goods. Everybody moves a lot of goods. They'd be still struggling. What jumped out at me that was interesting, I don't know what it means, but they're now shipping more goods apparently than FedEx. But the objective of the game isn't to ship more goods, it's to make the most amount of money. And I know that the courier companies are actually shedding clients, unprofitable clients. I wonder if Amazon's picking up the unprofitable clients, and that's a whole other line of business, and it's a complicated line of business. So I guess the short answer is more to follow. With lots to talk about with these folks. I mean, retailers are complex businesses. They are complex on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
So more to follow on Amazon. Well, all right. Well, that's exciting. Lots to watch. Lots to watch out for. Lots to pay attention to. Let's get on now to our segment. You and I are just chitting and chatting about e-commerce. But before we do that, I want to take the opportunity to remind the listeners to check out Remarkable Retail on YouTube. Our episodes are up on YouTube and some extended content. So do make sure and do that. And I wanted to give a shout out to Conversation with Commerce Next, my new podcast. So tune in with that. It's more about careers and DTC. But for now, let's get talking about this whole e-commerce and what we get wrong about it.